long story for let's see. New game of order. This is Alex Flexing with geeking out in a tag team. A particular topic that popped recently on event hubs, but there's some context and just some thoughts that are going behind a recent piece of news that popped up. But you guys get to see my face today. I'm gonna be setting up video chat for a future show. I was trying to do it for tonight as well. I am here with Geeking Out. Shinmar, if you're ready. What? No more. Huh? If you got opening remarks, you got the floor, my jigger.
I have no opening remarks.
Huh? Unbelievable. All right, so let's lead into that. Now, there's a couple people I had to block from this channel because you nothing but roll straight up. It was just going a little too far. Because anytime talking against, or not talking against, but speaking the truth of a certain enterprise, get butthurt. So I'm just gonna say, hey, if you're gonna be a Sony show, this video is not for you. All right. With that being said, it's common knowledge known that Evo acquired by Sony in an effort to, I guess, increase their fighting game presence or with the FGC. When the news initially broke, I was questioning why would Sony do something like that? Where Shinmar and I were talking where fighting game tournaments should remain neutral space, free from the influence of those with their agenda push certain things. So you can have different sponsors. Like it leaves the playground open for everybody to participate in, and Evo was that, right? Now, from some folks aren't even old enough to remember like when Evo or hear about it. It was like this mecca, this entity that if you got to Evo, you made it. Like Project Justice was the only one that I know that in my circle that has physically gone to Evo, and from what I understand, it's magic. So that being said, Evo was built from the community and then got bought out by Sony, and now it's just going to become a tool to promote like a soulless product to push Sony systems, Sony games, like pushing exclusivity to a certain brand. And I think that taking the soul away from what Evo is not cool. And there were consequences, there were casualties to it, which recently Nintendo being Nintendo now is pulling Smash from the event. So without giving all of my stuff, I want to give Shinmar his thought on Sony effectively changing the face of in my opinion, I think it hurt because Nintendo had the most participants between many different Smash games. And then now to take one of the pillars away from that, this is the future hold. Shinmar, what are your thoughts on what was? I have the Event Hubs article on the stream right now. You can't really see it, but it's just to have a background. But what are your thoughts? What did you digest? This whole development?
I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, if a competitor acquires something that was neutral and that they were involved in, obviously they don't want to have their game showcased anymore due to their competitors. So, yeah, I don't blame Nintendo for pulling it. I really don't. It's kind of sad. It's okay. So first, it's good that Nintendo already has the partnership with Panda Global Gaming for Smash. So It's not like, they're abandoning it, they're just switching platforms.
You know,
So, yeah, so not only that, but also with um Sony's just like you said, is going to be showcasing their stuff. But I think was it Mark Man? Mark Man said that they are open to other other platforms, where other games can be played on. Until we see that, we don't know for sure, for certain. So,
I'm gonna
mhm,
I'm gonna put it like this, and not to interrupt timely, but oh yeah, they're open to others, but they're not gonna invite them. Let's be real. Secondly, like Nintendo, because
mhm,
Nintendo is Nintendo. You know what I mean? This is typical Nintendo. They pull their stuff, right?
yeah,
Because how is Smash gonna be the not the main event, but has the most participants every year consistently, but to help
mhm,
push Sony's tournament or Sony's setup. Of course, Nintendo was
mhm,
gonna pull it, and this is one of the few times I agree with them. You know, but I feel that the whole it was like a reverse consolidation uh going on, because if it's a Sony led event, right? A lot
mhm.
of the titles that are exclusive to the PlayStation platform are gonna obviously be showcased there, you know?
Yeah,
And then
right.
this is also gonna give fuel to Sony getting like exclusive fighters because they own Evo.
Yeah.
And that is an agenda that's not fair. That is not fair. That and it's just all right. Well, I remember me and you, Shin, were talking about how some of these folks think Sony was the home for fighters and all this stuff, but they don't realize the Sega Saturn era, the Dreamcast era. You know,
Yeah.
those were the commanding systems when it came to 2D fighters, right? And if I want to be petty, I can go to CVS One on the PlayStation original, Marvel vs. Capcom EX, or what was that? What was it called?
With Easy Operation on Xbox? No, that was on GameCube.
No. Marvel vs. Capcom One on the
Hmm.
PlayStation One, and there's a documentary talking about how Capcom did not want to make that game. They got forced to make that.
Yeah, that port was bad, really
Yes.
bad.
So for those that were like, "Oh, PlayStation was always the home for fighters," that is not true. Period. Sega was the original home, and Capcom, in their dedication, Dreamcast and the Saturn. If y'all want to really see true fighters, old school, like solidness, go get a Saturn. I'm not gonna. They're hard to find. I still have my Dreamcast Sports
You can
Edition.
get it on eBay. You can get it on eBay if you
Yeah,
want.
but I'm just saying, if you want some hardcore stuff, you get those two consoles. Period. And don't let me forget Neo Geo. Neo Geo was a pioneer in all of that. But it grinds my gears when some of these folks are saying what is not true. Obviously, they don't know their fighting game history or gaming history. They can make comments like again. I'm not hacking the sword at anybody. I'm just setting that record straight. But I guess for the future of the event, and then I'll give Shinwar the floor. Now, if Nintendo pulled out, I'm sure, obviously Microsoft probably is not going to be featured there either. So
I mean, the only fighting game they would have on there would be
you know,
Killing Instinct.
and we know that's not going to happen, especially with the way Microsoft is going now. Like that, money's not an object to them. They can go and erect their own event. And here's what I feel bad for. What kind of hurts me, like the future of Evo. It's like Sony bought it, and I think it's gonna hurt it because
Hmm.
it's not gonna be as big as it once was. Smash Brothers was a significant part of Evo. If you go and look at the montages and all that, like Evo hype and so on and so forth, and you don't
Hmm.
have Smash having those hype moments in Evo, that hurts it.
Yeah.
And I believe it's significantly going to be a reduced footprint as opposed to what it was before. when you had everybody involved and neutral space free from that influence. And I think that was a bad move to for Sony to touch something that should have been neutral. So, Shinwar and I was talking earlier, what other tournaments. It's gonna happen. That's my prediction. It's gonna happen. Other tournaments are gonna rise up and kind of be like that new Evo that doesn't have Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo's hands in. But
I feel like CEO is like just a natural fit as it's like the second biggest tournament. And I think they are more than capable and well known enough to, and they put on a great show. With the wrestling ring and everything. I think that's a good look.
yeah,
Yeah, man, Evo, it's just, and we'll see what happens when they make their announcement in March. What games are coming up, but man, it just Smash was like big for them. And then you got to think like, what would be the replacement for them? What they'll do? Nickelodeon, was it Brawler, the All Stars, or what was the other one? The WB game.
well, it remains to be
So I
seen
don't know.
because the third party folks, like NetherRealm Studios, these guys will still do their support. Capcom will still do their support, whatnot. But then that Nintendo piece, that was major.
Yeah,
That was major. SNK will still be there, so it's not doom and gloom, but yeah, a lot of the loyalty from the Nintendo side, they're gonna, because here's the thing: when you have that many people having like what 2/3 or a third of the entrance for
hmm
an Evo, right? A lot of times they go and play other games or to
right.
pass the time or get into like pools or other side tournaments and what. Now, what Sony did by buying that and then having Nintendo pull, now these people no longer have the exposure to the other games, and now we're now completely segregated and siloed and whatnot. And I just think that like Shimar said, CEO, some of the other tournaments, I'm pretty sure, like maybe like the East Coast Throwdown, like some of these other things, like I guess to me, what's a seismic shift happening, maybe something else can come. But because Evo has its place in history in terms of its legacy, what it has done for the game, for the FGC, by the FGC, sold to a corporation, now losing its soul. I think that it's just a travesty that it went that route. Fortunately, marred in controversy with the whole Mr. Wizard situation, harassment of behavior and things like that. I mean, hey, look, I think that was the time for them to strike while it's hot. But Shinwa, remember we were talking about earlier? Sony had no interest in Evo, and all of a sudden
Yeah,
they just bought it. And here's my
yeah,
thing: for anyone who's gonna think that, oh, if Microsoft bought it, no, I wouldn't have been okay with that either. Either, no way, no way, no how. It just, to me, I feel hurt by that because I used to look forward to Evo was like the Super Bowl for fighting games, man. That you will watch Evo, and this is my experience. We used to watch it together, get hyped and see new combos and new stuff, and then you got that your fire was lit. You're ready to, oh yeah, you know what? I can be a better fighter or a better player and so on and so forth. You
hmm
know? And then the fact that it's now a corporate tool, like yeah, Sony, you're gonna see a whole lot of brought to you by Sony, brought to you by this, sponsored by that, and then it's like it's not really about the tournament. It's about getting the name of Sony out there. And hey, you
yeah.
know what? It is what it is. Your thoughts on that shit? Because that's what
Yeah,
I
no,
feel.
it's definitely going to be just a. Well, hold on. First, we don't. Let's just truth be told, we don't know what's going to happen. We're speculating here.
Yes, yes.
But hey, it was big news when Sony acquired them, right? So obviously, Sony's not going to let this just, oh well, y'all keep doing your thing. No, they're definitely going to utilize it and most likely tie it in, to whatever purposes they have. So they're not just gonna let it go to waste. They're gonna utilize it.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
but you do have a point though. It's gonna be a lot of branding. It's gonna be like Sony's Evo. Like it's gonna be crazy. Now, the when it was, grassroots, and even in the past couple years, it still wasn't to the masses. It's
Oh,
the masses still wasn't like aware of it, even though it was on ESPN. They're like, what is a video game? But now you see a major name like Sony, and you're like, oh wait a minute, what is this? So it's like, okay, well, we'll see what happens.
well, you see, before if Evo didn't make it to the esports level, I don't think Sony would have even been
Right.
interested. You know, it's just like, hey, how can we go and be parasites and take over something? Because it's like Evo in itself built itself, word of mouth, whatnot. It didn't need a corporate vehicle to get out there, and it became huge. It was the fighting game mecca, like your journey, or how they say in Assassin's Fist, Misashiyo, the Goken went on before he was done with his training with Gotetsu. You know, it's like, and if you made it to Evo or you went to Evo, it's like, yeah, you're there. You know, and it's just to see that, hey, maybe it doesn't change, maybe it gets better. We don't know, but I just know for right now that shockwave of Smash not being there, that's going to be sorely felt. Believe me when I tell you. Because Shin, remember in Evo's past prior to the pandemic slowing things down, like Smash used to have like a good chunk of airtime on Twitch, right?
Yeah, it had the most views. I think one year it went on last, it passed after Street Fighter.
Yep, yep. And then how many versions of Smash they had? They had like what two games on the last one, and they had three
Yeah. It was Super Smash. It was, I think, Melee.
Smash, Brawl, Melee, and did they have one other?
I think it was just only two. I don't know if it
Okay,
was.
yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, big footprint, folks. Big footprint. So we don't know what the future holds. I just think, you know, in summary of my thoughts, Evo, and I know Shimar agrees with me on this. It was neutral territory, and I'm speaking for myself. Shame on Sony for touching that virgin territory like that. Because now, in order, like, Nintendo has to partner with somebody, Microsoft's gonna have to set their own thing. Now it's like you got all these things once Evo had it all in one place. And I just, man, to me it's like a rest in peace to the old ways. Like, literally, I'm at an age where I'm just like, man, in my day, Evo was like this, like that. It just seeing all these changes, but Sony has ushered in a lot of change. Whether we like it or not,
Mm-hmm.
it's what it is. So, but then again, Microsoft is doing the same with Game Pass and buying, major conglomerates and doing their thing. It's like, okay, you know, we're literally watching gaming, like Pangea breaking off and splitting and doing its thing, creating the continents in gaming. But I mean, Chin, what are your predictions? What do you think? Like, let's say 4 years from now, 5 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
what Nintendo pulled and what Sony initially started. Where do you see, like, what's gonna happen? Like, if you were to take a bet, where do you see these fighting game tournaments? Let's say Evo.
They play it on PlayStation, pretty much,
Oh,
because
yeah, that's a given. That's a
yeah,
given.
but it's about brand, right? So obviously, I think with this, Sony might want to have more exclusive fighters,
Yeah,
to showcase their stuff. That's what I think gonna happen. It's like, well, hey, we got this big platform, let's do it.
yeah. And you know what? Maybe Sony was just ahead of the game. But I
Hmm.
think that instead of buying Evo, they should have built their own.
Yeah.
Built their own, and do their thing. Now it kind of forces Nintendo to partner up with that company.
Well, yeah, they partner with a Global Panda Gaming, so yeah, that's fine.
And then no word from Microsoft on that because
Microsoft's probably not interested in that, fighting game field, and they're probably not interested.
well, if the rumors for KI2 by
That's that's one game though.
this is true. This is true because you know what, they can't just live on FPSs alone. They have to get into that realm.
Hmm.
And even like a Killer Instinct piggybacking on Evo, the fact that Amazon hurt Microsoft by buying Double Helix like that, and throwing
Yeah.
everything off course. I'm pretty sure if Microsoft still had access to Double Helix, they would probably been more active trying to get KI into more tournaments.
Hmm.
Literally, that's what it is. That's what it is. And I think also too, what also kind of irks me is, like, remember I think I said this earlier. This is gonna be more justification to keep fighters off of other platforms. Oh, we got Evo though. We got Evo. You don't stand to gain anything over there. So and I think that's, again, that's a propaganda machine that Sony has built in terms of, like, hey, I'm surprised. Like I said, KOF 15 being multi-console, like that was a
Hmm.
miracle. That's a miracle, and I'm hoping the same for Street Fighter 6. But
Yeah.
you know that's a tool, that's an argument point or ammunition for the console where, like, hey, you know what, Sony has Evo, so yeah, we're gonna lean to Sony. They're guaranteed to get a port of a certain fighter as long as it pops up on Evo because everybody will get to see it. It's all business. It was never about the love or the soul of it. But passion doesn't make money. Decisions in business makes money. But I guess in
Yeah.
closing, I mean, oh man, I guess your final thoughts before we log off.
Yeah, it was disheartening when I read it. I was just like, oh wow, Nintendo pull, classic Nintendo. But in this case, you really can't blame them. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, Sony sticks to their word in saying other platforms are welcome, but it won't make sense if it's like, well, hey, if the fighters are running on here, Sony, why would you have them play it on any other consoles if they aren't first person exclusive?
This is true. I'm telling you, if
First party
anybody,
exclusive, sorry. Yeah.
if somebody uh thinks like, for instance, like I said, SNK doesn't have a platform anymore. They were Neo Geo producers, but KOF 15, that's gonna be an E. Period.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Tekken gonna be there. Period. I don't know if Dead or Alive will be there. I think the buzz for that kind of died off. But
Yeah.
Street Fighter, obvious given. So I don't know. You're gonna see a lot of those games there, but man, where are we gonna be in a few years, man? I'm literally at a loss for But again, we're still gonna watch Evo, still gonna enjoy it, not for what Sony did, but for the players. You got
Yeah.
Dago, Wong, all these guys, Sonic Fox, you name it, they're out there. You know,
Fuck.
well, well,
Mhm.
I'm just saying because despite whether you love or hate Sony, you're still gonna look. It's not about them. It's about that community.
Mhm.
Watch to see those guys like Infiltration and K Brad and all of them doing their thing, right? Watch it, enjoy it. If the platform changes, if it kind of shrinks or whatever, it gives rise to the other tournaments, so be it. It's just that there was an attachment to Evil, and that's what saddens me.
Mhm.
Unless something changes, Sony already bought it. We can thank Mr. Wizard and his controversy for all that went down because I think that was like an emergency, and Sony has a habit of buying up something when they kind of are in need. like the Marvel licenses with the Spider-Man movie. Evo when the whole pandemic and they didn't have money and 2 years out, whatever.
Mhm.
Things like that. So once they got it, they ain't letting it go. And
Yeah.
Marvel, Disney, Kevin Feige are finding out the hard way. You know, but I'm just a little disappointed. And to me, it's almost like I have a salute and send off to what Evo was. You know, biggest fighting game mecca that everybody looked to forward to in the summer. That's all I got. Shin, you're good to go, my friend.
Yeah, I'm good to go. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, aside from the Sony news, I'm excited to see what games are going to be announced, and hopefully, there's some good stuff.
Well, we definitely right now KOF 15. That's the hot ticket right now. So if y'all on the Xbox, you can hit up me and Shenwar. We get some matches in for Friday Night Fights. I won't be able to do Friday Night Fights on what's that 4th because I'm gonna be on military duty. But I may set something up so we can play some people. But
Hmm.
I want to thank my tag team partner, Mr. Shenwo. And if you want to plug your channel, you got the floor, my friend.
Oh yeah, you can catch me out on YouTube at underscore. Actually, wait, I forgot. Wait a minute. What the heck? Hold on. Oh, Shin is War. YouTube.com/Shin is War. And talk about, comic books, games, technology, toys, the fun stuff.
And comics.
Oh wow.
You got to see his show. I'm telling you, that intro is funny. I always roast him about it. But with that, make sure y'all rate, comment, and subscribe, and leave in the comments. Let us know what you think. Yeah, major shift. Nintendo, pull the carpet, and they're gonna do their own thing. So let's see what happens. Man, the Myth, the Juggernaut, and Mr. Shenwo. We out. Catch y'all later. Alrighty. We are finito. Like Benito.